We are unprofitable servants. We are servants of the Lord. That takes some humility to recognize. It takes some patience to allow God's plan to unfold. It's easier to be like the prophet in our first reading, shouting at God, "How long, O Lord? Why don't you listen to me?" Well, maybe it's because it's not God's role to listen to us, but our role to listen to what he says. As the prophet complains, we see destruction and violence around us, strife and discord. This prophet was writing during a time when the enemies of the Jews were strong. They didn't know when they might be attacked. They didn't know what was coming. The northern kingdom of Israel had already been overwhelmed, the people taken far away to Assyria, exiled from their homeland. That left the southern kingdom of Judah to stand alone against forces much too powerful to fight off. Was this going to be the destruction of everything they knew? Was this the end of their community of faith, overrun by pagans who would deny them religious freedom? Come on, God, why don't you intervene? Where are you? Well, our first reading was written by a prophet, and that means he's not just somebody who yelled at God, but someone who listened for an answer. The scriptures show us that it's okay to tell God, "I don't understand what you're doing." But we can't stop with, "You don't listen to me." We need to listen for God's response. We need to discern God's plan. We need to trust in God's love for us that won't abandon us. And the prophet hears an answer. It's not the answer he wanted to hear. It probably didn't feel very comforting at the time. God told him to be patient. He tells the prophet the time isn't here yet. Wait for it. God reassures him by saying that the fulfillment will come when it needs to come. It will not be late according to God's plan. But I imagine according to the prophet's plan, it was looking like it was pretty late. And I imagine the prophet was thinking God was delayed in getting around to helping him. But part of being a prophet, part of being a disciple, part of being a follower of Christ is learning a sense of humility. When God's plans don't fit with our plans, we need to open our ears to listen to how God is leading us. We need to open our hearts to allow God's love to guide us. So if today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Allow his word to challenge our understanding of the world. Allow faith to hold us firmly in the Holy Spirit. St. Paul tells us today, God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power and love and self-control. Yes, there is strife and discord among us. Yes, it's hard to live our faith when the society around us isn't supportive, when the people in our school or in our neighborhood are trying to convince us to ignore God's ways, when we see messages on the internet or on the media that set up some plan other than God's plan. But a spirit of humility tells us that our plans will come to nothing unless they're in line with God's design. Because God's plan will come to fulfillment when the time is right. If it delays, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not be late. In the meantime, we're told, do not be ashamed of your testimony for the Lord, even when it means that you bear your share of hardship for the gospel. Say instead, we are unprofitable servants. We are servants of the Lord, and we humbly trust in our faith. We trust in God's love that he has demonstrated over and over again. He will see us through. He is seeing us through, even if we can't see the whole plan.